Hello, everyone. How are you all doing today? Today's St. Patrick's Day. What a special day, isn't it? A day to go out, have fun with your friends, having a couple of Irish beers. Right now, in the stage where we are in the world with COVID and everything, it's not quite possible. But anyway, not because of that, we're not going to celebrate, right? So, yeah, let's do celebrate this special date. And as you know, we're back here with the Student World Live Show, episode 2. We're very happy, very excited to be here. And as I mentioned, since it's St. Patrick's Day, today we'll be talking about an amazing country called Ireland. That's true, guys. So for all of you that are watching us, no matter where you are in the world, if you consider Ireland as a possible study destination, don't go out, watch this live, because we're going to be sharing a lot of useful information with you. Everything that you need to know to study in Ireland, right? So the possible programs, courses, visas, scholarships, and we're going to be sharing experience with students that are studying right now in Ireland. They'll be sharing all about how is it to live in Ireland, to study in Ireland. So it's going to be a very nice ride, and I hope you enjoy, okay? And don't forget to comment here on our chat. Again, the reason why we do this, folks, is you. The reason why we wake up every day at the Student World is because we want to help you pursue your international education. Many of us have already had the amazing chance to go abroad. We know that we lived the time of our lives. We know how special that is. I personally had the opportunity to study abroad, and I can tell you that that experience shaped myself, and turned myself into who I am today. Okay, so in our power here in the Student World, we're going to do everything we can to help you pursue that dream, that plan as well. Okay, let's turn that dream into a plan, a feasible plan, a doable plan. Okay, that's what we're here for. Again, send your questions here to the chat. Again, many times we get people like saying, oh, scholarships. We're going to cover scholarships, of course, but there are many other things that you need in terms of information if you want to apply for university in Ireland, right? Send those questions. Let us help you, right? No one better than you to tell us what you need. We're here. I'm here. We are your voice. We're going to be interviewing very interesting people, someone from the University College Cork, a very experienced international recruiter. We're going to be interviewing someone from Education Ireland, who is responsible for promoting Ireland's education around the world. So let me be your voice. Send your question to the chat, and I will be more than happy to ask them out. All right? So that's it, folks. I hope you enjoy the ride. And you know what? I was going to tell you the story about St. Patrick's, but since I'm Irish, I think someone of mine can tell the story in a way better way. Okay? So I'm going to now welcome two very special guests, Cleona from University College Cork in Ireland, and Sarah from the Education line in Ireland. Welcome, guys. How are you doing today?
Hi, it's great to be here.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here, too. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I love that you both came wearing green. This was the only shirt I could find that was green.
It's green. I like it.
Perfect. All right. So, Cleona, how about you tell us a little bit about the story behind this legend, St. Patrick's?
Sure. Yeah. Well, today, the 17th of March, is our national day. It's the Day of the Irish. And it's, I suppose, inspired by the legend of St. Patrick, who's known to have brought Christianity to Ireland many years ago. He also is known to have supposedly rid Ireland of snakes. So in Ireland, you won't find snakes. Another part of the legend. But essentially, I suppose he brought Christianity to the island, and that's what he's most known for. But today, I mean, it's really become a day globally for Irish people to paint the world green. So I know in the US, where Sarah's based, you know, it's really, even I think the big rivers in the US are painted green. Everybody dyes their beer green, but it's, you know, it's really the day to be proud to be Irish. It's our biggest festival. So yeah, so this year is a bit different because normally we'd all be out on the streets and there'd be an amazing festival with live music, etc. But, you know, if we're doing things a little bit differently, everything's virtual, but it was a beautiful day. The sun, with blue sky, sunny, you know, sunny sky, the perfect weather you'd want on St. Patrick's Day. Because for us in Ireland, St. Patrick's Day means the winter's over and we're finally in spring and almost in summer. So you saw people in shorts and flip-flops out enjoying the sun today in Ireland. So yeah, so it's been beautiful weather, and the weather is very important for us in Ireland because the weather changes, you know, so radically because we're a small island in the northwest of Europe and the Atlantic, and you know we're always kind of watching the weather. So you know, today was a beautiful St. Patrick's Day, so it's uplifted spirits all over Ireland. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
It did. So guys, usually I ask the guests to introduce themselves, tell a little bit what they do. But before we get to that, let me ask you, if we were in a normal scenario, what would you be doing today at St. Patrick's Day if you could choose? So maybe we can start with you, Sarah. You're in the US, right? So what would you be doing today?
Yeah, I'm based in Boston, which is sort of the Irish capital of the U.S. We have Irish pubs everywhere, and there's a number of us that work for Education in Ireland up here, and so we would be out at the pubs celebrating. You know? Alas, we are celebrating virtually on Zoom today, but that's what we would be doing normally.
Sounds good. And what about you, Cleona?
So yeah, so here in Ireland, I mean, everybody gets the day off today, so it's a national holiday. So everywhere's, you know, nobody goes to work except for the pubs, and the pubs are always booming. But what's, I suppose, the most common thing in Ireland is people would go to their local St. Patrick's Day parade. So every village, town, city has a parade. So in Cork, where we're based, the city has a big parade, which, you know, different groups, community groups, join the parade and they follow a route around the city centre. And it's actually, usually our international students will join into the parade. So it's a really big day for international students who live in Ireland because they get to dress up for St. Patrick's Day, go into the city centre, there's an amazing atmosphere, and actually join in. And for example, the Mexican community in Cork, they always win the best act every year consistently. There's a really vibrant young Mexican community in Cork, and they always dress up in their folkloric ballet gear. And they dance the way through the parade with the colorful, you know, colorful skirts. So this year, they can't do that. So what they all did is they all took photos of themselves in their costumes in different places around Cork, and they've posted it on Facebook. So look up Facebook, Mexican community in Cork, and you get a sense of, you know, what they're missing from last year, but what they're doing this year to make up for it. But it's the same. You've got the Filipino community, the Polish community, the Brazilian Zamba band. So every country actually joining, because Ireland's a very multicultural country now. You know, we have students in our universities from over 100 countries and in our towns and cities. So it's really a celebration of multicultural Ireland as well. You know, it's everybody's Irish and feels very much part of it. So yeah, so that's what we're missing today. The festivities where everybody joins in.
Lovely. So yeah, guys. So as I mentioned, so Sarah is from the Education in Ireland. Cleona is here representing the University College Cork. And we have tons of questions we want to ask you because our audience is seriously considering, hopefully, to study in Ireland. So the first question, guys, I can start with a different question, but why Ireland? Why Ireland, Sarah?
Why Ireland? Well, Ireland is a really warm and friendly country. You know, I'm not Irish, I'm American. I feel very, very welcomed. And you know, that's one of the things that our international students say as well. You know, we meet students at the airport and help get them to campus. There's all sorts of great, you know, support for students. And we'll get into this a little bit later, I think. But one of the things that I think is really fantastic about Ireland is that if you pursue a degree there, you can stay on and work for a year or 2 years after you finish your degree. And I think that's something that's quite unique, especially because Irish graduates are some of the most in demand in the EU. And so you really are set up to get that job once you've finished.
Yeah, we're going to get to that part for sure. But one thing that I wanted to ask you, Cleona, you're here representing a university located in Cork, right? Which is a different city. Many people, we feel sometimes, they have the wrong idea that Ireland is only about Dublin, right? Which is not true. There are many other super nice destinations out there. Can you tell us a little bit more about these other amazing cities that are also great options for international students?
Yeah, sure. So in Ireland, you know, we have 8 universities, 4 based in Dublin, the capital, but the other 4 are based in smaller cities. So Cork is the second largest city after Dublin. People in Cork, we like to say it's the real capital of Ireland, but it's definitely, you know, a great destination. I mean, I often say to students, you should think about quality of life. You know, my own daughter moved from Mexico over to Ireland for higher education, and she was kind of thinking Dublin, Dublin. I said, look at Cork, look at Galway, look at Limerick. They're smaller cities and they're very student friendly. So, I mean, the advantage of living in a smaller city like Cork, Limerick, or Galway, which are the other three options, are that, you know, you can walk everywhere. You're going to spend less money on rent, and it's more of a kind of a home away from home, where you're in the city center, living the city center life, kind of at greater ease. I mean, there are also great destinations in even smaller towns like Sligo, Tralee, which have institutes of technology, which are always amazing destinations in terms of outdoor pursuits. There's like Sligo's the surfing capital of Europe. So, you know, it depends on, like, think about lifestyle choices and outdoor activities. If that's for you, you know, I'd really be thinking about a smaller, more rural town. But yeah, I mean, Dublin's the capital. Dublin's great. And Cork is, I suppose, like a more smaller, more manageable version. It has everything any European city would want, but just on a smaller scale and more accessible. I always say to students, you know, if you're living on campus in college, you can really, I suppose, get a better quality of life, because, you know, you fall out of bed 10 minutes to 9, you get to class by 9, you're back home for lunch, and then you're back on campus to do extracurricular activities with your clubs and societies in the evening. And then Saturday, students are hitting the beach to surf, to windsurf, to go horse riding. You know, it's Ireland, really, it's #1 for landscape outdoor walks, and it was voted #1 as well for international students because of the extracurricular activities. So there's always, you know, free sports, Irish dancing classes, Irish language classes if you want. And then at the weekends, there's subsidized tours for students to go see all the amazing places to see in Ireland, the castles, the place where Star Wars was filmed, the place where Game of Thrones was filmed. So all that's kind of organized and subsidized by the universities. You know, so you get to go on a weekend, you know, for a quarter of the price that you'd pay as a normal tourist, and you get to do it with 49 other students from 100 different countries who go fill up a hostel, go on a bus. So yeah, that's kind of one of the main reasons that
tons of things to do, right?
But yeah.
We have I'm super happy, guys. We have today many comments coming up here on the chat. We have people from Mexico joining us. I see here Annabelle, I see Amina, I see Jean, I see Charles, Lady Di very well, asking tons of questions. Yes, you can surf in Ireland, apparently, Charles. And okay, so guys, one of the things that we always say here at the Student World is that there is no such thing as the best university, but what there is the right one for you, right? So we always say that there's 2 sides of this coin when it comes to studying abroad. One side is a destination, and as Cleona was mentioning there, it's very important for you to choose a city that, you know, fits you. So if you're someone that prefers a small town over a big city, if you're someone that loves being close to the oceans or to the mountains, the place where you choose is a very important part, right? But at the other side of the coin is the selection of the university itself, right? So, Sarah, what would you say that students should consider when choosing the right university for them?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, just try. Oh, okay. It was popping up that I was muted. Zoom problems. I think you're right. The geography is part of it. You want to be comfortable in the environment that you're in the city you're in. But in terms of the institution itself, of course, you want to look at academics. Does it offer what it is you're looking to study? And really, you can study almost anything in Ireland. If you want to do robotics or chemical engineering or Gaelic literature, you can find it somewhere in Ireland. So I think if you have an idea of a specific thing that you're looking to pursue as a career path, then that's a really important starting point, of course. And I think you also want to look at the level of support that the institution offers, the kinds of, things the International Student Office does to support students, the societies and clubs that are available, all of those sorts of things. But I really think you can't make the wrong choice. The universities are all so wonderful in welcoming students, and I think so. The academics is sort of the thing you should really be looking at in picking the right institution.
Yeah, and Cleona, so bringing now a little bit about the program choice, right? What are the most popular programs for international students going to Ireland? What are the top choices for them?
That's a good question. I suppose a lot of them are related to what Ireland is unique in, and what we're strong in. So, for example, one thing that's quite unique is digital arts and humanities. Because Ireland is known as the Silicon Valley of Europe, where you've got the headquarters of a lot of the IT sector, like Apple. The European headquarters for Apple are based in Cork. Google is based in Dublin, but we also have Facebook, Airbnb. So 9 of the top 10, internet providing companies are there. So a few years ago, they kind of said to the Irish universities, look, we really need your creative arts and humanities students, but we really need them to be able to speak programming. So what we did in Ireland was we joined forces, all of the 7 universities at the time, and we brought together humanities and creative arts and computer science and created a new discipline called digital arts and humanities. So that's quite popular because it's 100% employability. We have masters, PhDs, undergrad programs in this. Another area I think is the creative arts. So film, film, theater, music. Music is an amazing. Cork actually just won the first European Research Council grant of €6 million to develop hip hop, which is kind of like first in the world. So we've actually got a leading research center in hip hop, funded by the European Research Council. So I think performing arts is definitely another strong point. The Irish, especially today with St. Patrick's Day, what we're good at is singing and dancing, and there are amazing shows online. If anybody can just tune in, just look for the Irish Embassy in Mexico, the Irish Embassy in the US. They'll all be streaming amazing virtual shows tonight. So just to get a taste of really good Irish music, big bands like U2 and smaller, younger artists. So yeah, I'd say digital arts, creative, performing arts, obviously the whole chemical, pharmaceutical, microbiology sector, because we also have 9 of the top 10 kind of pharma, biomed in the country with 100% employability. And the other one I would say is food. Ireland is the most food sovereign country in the world. We produce 20 times more food than we actually use. So we have an amazing array of food science, food technology, food business. And in Cork, one thing which I think is very much necessary in the world, given COVID and the need to build back better, is food security. And we even have a master's in cooperatives for agri-sector and sustainable development. So, I think students should look and think outside the box. Like often you say, students, I want to do an MBA or I want to do computer science. You kind of think of maybe look at programs that are related to business, but a little bit different, like food business and innovation or food security policies to make the world a better place and to make food systems better going forward, The same with, you're thinking about computer science, maybe look at something a bit more creative and outside the box, like digital arts and humanities. So just, Ireland has these unique, unique programs that you won't find in other parts of the world, that really are aspiring to, to bring the world to a better place. That's kind of one of the strong, we're niche at some things, and I think it's something that we're offering to the world. So yeah, do, as you said, look online, do your research and look at the academics, as Sarah said, behind the program. On the websites of any university, you'll be able to go and see, okay, what modules will I study in semester 1 of the master's and semester 2, and go into detail, and have a look around. But but I mean, I'd say apply as soon as possible, because there are amazing scholarships out there. And, there's a Government of Ireland scholarship at the moment.
But wait, don't get ahead. Don't get ahead. We're going to get to that part. We're going to get to that part.
Sorry.
But before we do that, because we have like many questions coming up here, guys, at the chat. Like people asking if they can study medicine in Ireland. People asking if there are like good psychology programs in Ireland as well. Many people are sending great questions here. We're going to get to them at the end, folks. So hang in there. But what I want to talk now with you is something that everybody's concerned, right? Let's talk numbers. What is the life cost of living in Ireland, in Dublin and Cork and in this other major cities that you guys mentioned, especially when they compare to other European countries or even like Canada, US? What can you share about this? Any one of you?
Sure, yeah. So fees will range in Ireland for higher education from probably 12,000 in the humanities business area, right up to like 22,000 in the more lab-based, like science, engineering, and medicine. That's the fees, and the fees are per year. So, you pay your fees per year. There are various scholarships out there. So, if you're a good student with a good academic track record, you could be automatically offered a 10%, 20%, 30% scholarship. So, calculate, I suppose, between 10,000 and 15,000 euro per year on fees. And then you will need we recommend an extra 1,000 euro per month for living expenses. So more or less 500 euro per month for accommodation, and another 500 for, just for life in general. Obviously, you could do it with less. It depends on how hard you party and how much, how many trips you make all around Europe, because students love the fact that they're based only 50 minutes from London, an hour and a half from Amsterdam. So students do travel a lot within the European Union, which is an advantage. But so you're talking about, $25,000 or 25,000 euro per year.
Okay.
Is what you need to budget for. But obviously it is helpful that you can work while you study, and most international students do work while they study. So you can work 20 hours per week during semester, and up to 40 hours per week during holidays. So holidays are the 3 months of the Irish summer, which is June, July, and August, and Christmas. So you in Ireland you earn the minimum European wage, which is 10 euro per hour. So most students would work 10 to 20 hours per week in a cafe, in a restaurant, or if they're lucky they might get it in their field, and they subsidize it a bit that way. But that's more or less the cost.
Yeah, I do. We have questions coming up here regarding that too, but I want to get to that point to be more clear for people in terms of if they can work during their studies, as you mentioned, but also the possibility of remaining in Ireland once you graduate and working there as well. I'm going to get to that part. But before that, just one thing related to the scholarships. I want to ask Sarah, is there any scholarships opportunities for international students offered by the Government of Ireland?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cleano mentioned this before. The Government of Ireland scholarships have opened. They'll close on March 26th. So got about another 10 days or so to apply for those. And those are a year of full tuition completely covered. So those are a really great opportunity. There's also a page on the Education in Ireland website that lists all the scholarships that are available. So the Government of Ireland is a great one because it's full tuition and it's also coming up quite quickly, but it's not the only one that's available. And in addition to these, sort of countrywide scholarships where your fees could apply at any Irish institution, The colleges and universities across Ireland also offer their own scholarships for international students of varying amounts, and some you'll have to apply for separately, some you would be automatically considered for. I'm sure, Cleona could tell us a bit about the opportunities at UCC specifically, but whatever institutions you're interested in, definitely look on their international student site and there'll be information about their own scholarships.
Awesome. Yeah. So can you repeat the website so people can, guys, take a look at the Education Ireland website so you can get some information about this. Is it educationireland.com or what's the website?
It is, the scholarship page is specific. I will find it and drop it in the chat in a few minutes. All
right. So, yeah, so great to hear that. I mean, Cleona, can you explain a little bit if there is any specific scholarship offer for by the UCC? Very quickly, because we have more questions we need to cover in this 5 to 10 last minutes.
Yeah, sure. I'll put a link in the chat as well, because we have like a huge array of scholarships and they vary per program and per discipline. So it'll depend whether it's College of Arts and Humanity or College of Science and Business. They're kind of from 10% right up to 100%. And we have an awful lot of funded PhD programs as well. Every Friday we publish them on Facebook. But we also have agreements with a lot of organizations around the world. So for example, Latin America, where I cover, we have an agreement with the Mexican Bank, for example, with a similar agreement called Futura in Colombia, where students can apply for what's called a loan, an educational loan. And they get a discount, a further discount off fees, and they get, a good kind of conditions to pay these back over 10 years. So there are many funding opportunities, not only scholarships, but educational loans as well. But yeah, I'll put it in the chat so students can look at it in more detail.
Awesome. Guys, don't forget also, by the way, to go to our the Student World Instagram. You can click to follow us there. And we're going to get all these links with them after the live as well. And if you send this message on Instagram, we're going to be happy to share the links with you. So go to the Instagram, not right now, because if you're using your smartphone, if you get out of YouTube, you're going to lose the live. So, but just right there at the Student World on Instagram, follow us there. And don't forget also, while we are here, to like this live, because the more likes we get, the more people will see this, and we will know if we're doing something that has been useful for you. All right. Okay, so let's carry on. So just one note regarding the working opportunities. We talked about working during studies. What about once they graduate? So let's say they went for a bachelor's, they finish. Can they remain in Ireland and work or not? Maybe Sarah can take this one.
So undergraduate students are eligible to work for 12 months after graduation, and postgraduate students are eligible to work for 24 months after graduation. So great opportunity to be able to stay in the country and to get some great work experience. And I think the kinds of, one of the things that's great about Ireland is the linkages between industry and the institutions. And so you really you're set up to be able to get that kind of work when you graduate because of the education you've gotten during your time there.
And also what Cleona has mentioned, right? The fact that Ireland is almost like a startup hub in Europe, right? Not almost, but it is a startup hub in Europe with the presence of many technology companies. I didn't know that, guys. Not sure if you knew that as well, but it is true, as Cleona mentioned, many huge corporations are there. So there is a big chance that you can go study there and get a job right after your studies. So moving on, guys, we're getting to the end of this first part here at the Student World Live show. Now I have to bring the question of the moment, which is, what are the COVID restrictions in Ireland at the moment? Cleona, can you get that one?
Sure, yeah. So at the moment, we are still on, I suppose, maximum lockdown, where you're not allowed to move outside 5 kilometers from where you live. But I mean, life is, I suppose, all online at the moment as far as higher education is concerned, except for students who need to go and do lab work. So for example, students who are studying medical science, they are going in, into their labs maybe once or twice a week. The library is open, so students can book a place in the library and actually go study in the library if they need to. They can click and collect books. So our campuses are open with very limited, movements. And students in Cork, I mean, they're encouraged to go out and get exercise, walk in the parks, but within 5K of your surrounding areas. Pharmacies, essential shops are open, but unfortunately everything else has remained closed. But we are in the process of vaccinating. All of the healthcare workers have been vaccinating. All of the elderly are being vaccinated at the moment. And we're hoping that by May, things will gradually start opening up, and that by September, we will be, I suppose, fully open for business in terms of higher education. Cool. So that's what we're working on. But there have been setbacks with the flow of vaccinations. As we're part of the European Union, we're following European Union guidelines in terms of vaccination. So, it's kind of been slower than people would like, but Ireland are being very careful. And what I am saying to students is, don't stress. There will be supports there. We were very good to international students who were here when it happened. All of our international students who were working were entitled to unemployment payment. They were, and the universities helped everybody who needed it with, I suppose, finding suitable accommodation, moving accommodation, trying to get home if they needed to, working from home if they went back to their country. We were very flexible in terms of what students needed according to their specific cases. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure even if we're still living with COVID next September, there will be, good measures in place to do as best we can to assure everybody has, the international experience they're hoping for.
Cool. All right. So guys, just one thing, universities are accepting applications, right?
Yes, completely. Yeah. I mean, the idea is that students will be welcomed on campus again in September. If, for any reason that doesn't happen, there will be options put in place as last year. Cool. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, then. I mean, we've been getting, I'm so happy for this, folks. If you're watching us and you're sending your questions, you're making a big difference here. We've got great questions here. Unfortunately, we don't have time to answer all of them because we have more things coming up here at the Student World Live Show, but I am going to cover like 2 or 3 ones. I have Carlos asking here. He said, I heard that the government puts you in isolation for 10 days in a hotel room when you arrive. Is that correct? I think that's in the UK, but Ireland's doing the same or no?
I believe it's a 14-day quarantine period, but it's not in a hotel. So, at the start of the spring semester, students were quarantining in their accommodations. Cleona, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
And we have a great, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. So in the past arrival, students were personally brought by the universities in private transportation to campus, and they were quarantined in campus accommodation in the universities. But currently there are new restrictions in for certain countries. So South Africa, some African countries and some Latin American countries and Austria are currently on a list where I think a 14-day quarantine will be organized or is being organized in hotels at the moment. But we're hoping that will be lifted in a few months, by September, definitely. And in any case, I'm sure students will be given the option to quarantine on campus in our college campus accommodation.
All right. Another question here from Ellie. She asked, as you can see there on the screen, does Ireland have any university programs that are interconnected with Canadian schools as well, like twins? I think she's probably thinking of doing a semester there and then some other parts of the course in Canada as well. Is that a possibility, especially in UCC?
Yes. So there are Canadian institutions that have partnerships with some of the institutes of technology in Ireland. And then also usually that's for 2 years in Ireland and 2 years in Canada. Each of the Irish institutions has study abroad partners where you can go, if you're a Canadian student, you could go to Ireland for a semester. If you're an Irish student, you could go to Canada for a semester. And that depends on the specific Canadian universities and the specific Irish universities. They would have, one-to-one linkages for that.
Cool. And UCC has any partners, Cleona, in Canada?
Yeah, we have many partners in Canada, and so we have a lot of Canadians who might come for a semester or for a full year study abroad, as part of their undergrad studies. But in the area of law, we have a wide variety of one-year master's programs. So if you're coming from Canada with an undergrad law program, you could directly enter any of the one-year masters in law that UCC offers, which are in very interesting areas like international environmental law, human rights, etc. So yeah, it would be very compatible. I mean, the Canadian and Irish systems are very similar. I know with our medicine school, we get a lot of students from Canada to study medicine and dentistry, because there's an agreement between Ireland and Canada where our professional degrees are recognized directly there.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, we're coming to the end of this first part here of the Student World. But before I say goodbye here to Sarah and Cleona, I want to give you like 30 seconds each to say why should students go to Ireland, and a message of motivation in the moment that we're all going through this horrible times here. But what would you say to someone that still, wants to pursue this goal? Maybe we can start with you, Cleona.
Sure. Yeah, I'd say definitely, do some research, consider Ireland, talk to students who have been to Ireland and are already there. I mean, they really international students feel very at home from the first moment. Contact, any of the universities through email, Facebook, different social medias. So you can talk to students from your own country who've been there. I think that would be kind of final words of advice. Student to student, I think is very reassuring, and it'll give them a sense of what they need to know. But yeah, definitely for Ireland, I would think about quality of life, safety, landscape, climate. Even though the climate, we like to complain about the climate, but really we have quite a privileged template climate for where we are in the Northern Hemisphere. And a lot of that is thanks to the fact that we're on the Atlantic and we get some warm streams from the Gulf of Mexico up to our coasts. So yeah, it's quite a warm place in terms of people and climate.
Okay. What about you, Sarah?
I would say that after the year that we've had, it's obvious that seeing more of the world and that we're interconnected, that you need that experience of seeing how other people live and work, and that can only make you more marketable when you're looking to get a job later on. I know it feels like a scary thing to pick up and go somewhere else to study, but I've been working in this field for a long time, and students, they almost never regret doing it. It's the best educational decision that I ever made, and most students will tell you the same. So I know it feels a little scary, but I promise it's worth it.
Amazing. Guys, again, thank you so much for accepting this invitation to be here. I'm super happy with the content with the chat that we had, the content that we share. Again, I see here many people watching us, and Annabelle's, thank you, Anna, for watching us. Thank you, Lucia, Samuel, everybody that is following us. It's not over. We have more things coming up, but it's time to say goodbye to both of you. And thank you so much again. And listen, guys, we're going to go for a quick break, and we'll be right back in 1 minute. 1 minute break. Don't you dare changing that channel on YouTube, okay? We'll be back with more with more information and a super nice chat with 3 students that are currently experiencing what it's like to study in Ireland. We're going to play a quiz. There'll be lightning rounds of questions. There's so much more coming up. The Student World, whatever you want to study, know how to get you there. Hello, everyone, and we are back at St. Patrick's Day with this very nice and a brand new episode of the Student World Live Show. Folks, now it's time to invite to the stage three amazing guests. They have super different backgrounds, but they have one thing in common. All of them have decided to go the extra mile and pursue their education, and now they are finding themselves living, most likely, the time of their lives in Ireland. So now I'm super happy to welcome to this live three guests, Karen, Manami, and Mega. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Student World Live Show. How are you doing today? How are you, Karen?
How are you? I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
So happy to be here.
Yay. I'm so happy to welcome you guys here. Again, folks, that you are watching us. This is the part 2 of the Student World Live Show. We're going to be initiating the chat here with these three amazing women. Feel free to send your questions to the chat. They are living in Ireland, experience what it's like in studying in Ireland. So send your questions to them, anything you want to know. Guys, I think I'm going to start with the same question I started with Sarah and Cleana. Instead of asking first your background and your story and all that, what would you be doing in St. Patrick's evening in a normal day? Maybe we can start with you, Mega.
Okay, so I was actually here when I came in 2019, and I actually saw the parade that year, and the town is full. There's so many people, international people coming here to see St. Paddy's Day, and the pubs are full. There's no space. There's people on the streets. There's people wearing greens with flags, everything green, and with makeup and everything, and going out drinking. It's very nice, and people are just all out.
What about you, Karen?
Yeah, it's the same. My friends would usually go watch the parade, visit a couple of pubs. They're always really packed, so you start early on. If there's a game on, the pubs are even more filled up, and it's really fun. And we just spend the whole day chilling because there's no school. Like it's a whole holiday for the whole country, so it's really fun.
Cool. Manami?
Yeah, same thing here. It's all about going to the pubs and having fun. But I actually did kind of go to the pub today before this. I went to go support the local student pub. I had Irish coffee, a cheeky little drink to calm the nerves, So it's usually about going to the pubs. That's what I would be usually doing as well.
Amazing. So, guys, a very quick brief about where you're from and what you're doing in Ireland. Maybe start with you again, Karen.
So I'm a Canadian student. I started my medical degree in 2016. So this is my fifth year in Ireland. Oh, wow. It's been a while. I've been here for 5 years.
Cool. And which city are you living?
Oh, I'm in Galway.
Oh, okay, cool. What about you, Manami? What are you studying and where are you coming from?
So I am actually originally Japanese, but I grew up in a lot of different countries. Before I came to Ireland, I studied in Malaysia for 2 years, and what I did was I transferred my credits. So I did my first 2 years in Malaysia, and then I came to Ireland to do 2 more years. So I'm currently studying my final year in Human Resources Management in the Institute of Technology, Carlow.
Cool. And how about you, Mega?
I'm from India, and I'm here in Dublin, and I'm doing my bachelor's in business. I've been here for like 2 years, and this is my last year for my degree.
Cool. And guys, like many people share with us this, the decision of actually going abroad it's super exciting, but can also bring a little bit of anxiety, right? Many people do feel anxious with the idea of living in another country themselves. A lot of things start coming out to their minds. How am I going to be welcomed by that culture? How am I going to adapt myself? I wanted to maybe I want to start with you, Manami. How did you go through that? Because you mentioned when we talked before on backstage that that you've been traveling a lot, right? But did you have a feeling of anxiety, or no? You were only excited and let's go for it.
Well, I personally, as you mentioned, I've traveled a lot. I've, since I was a child, I've been moving from country to country. So I'm kind of used to adapting to different cultures. I have that cultural sensitivity of knowing how to act in different cultures and stuff. So I personally haven't gone through that anxiety. But because I have so many different friends from different countries and stuff, I understand what it's like for them not to be able to fit in. And, it always helps for them to have friends to tell them like, oh, you shouldn't act like this, or how to act in a different culture and so on. Yeah. But I personally know I haven't had any anxiety over moving.
Well, you, Maga, did you feel like did you have questions if you were going to be able to adapt yourself to the Irish culture? Can you share a little bit of what you did in case you had to overcome that?
Yeah, I'm a very anxious person, and this is a very different culture for me, coming from India to Ireland. Completely different. And I've been very stressed and anxious about how to approach people and everything. But like it's a process, and you gradually overcome it. So you can't do anything unless you try. So I've tried talking to people, I've tried reaching out, I've tried doing stuff, and it's made me so much more confident and less anxious, and now I can literally talk to anybody, and it's very nice, and the people are very accepting, so it's really good. And I'm sure like everybody has anxiety when they move to a new country, but there's nothing better than actually trying and overcoming it.
Yeah, you guys in the audience there, can you share, like, you're here because you want to study abroad, you're here because you're planning that. What about you guys? Can you share here on the chat? Do you feel anxious of the idea of living by yourself in another country? Participate, join us. What about you, Karen?
So I was 17 when I had to make the decision of coming to Ireland, and my program is 6 years. So it was definitely a commitment on my side and even my parents' side to let me just live on my own for so long. But I was kind of more excited about being in Europe and living my 20s in Europe and traveling. So that kind of is what like pushed me to pursue my degree in Ireland. At first, it was definitely like I was a little worried, like how to make friends and who I can hang out with. But there are other international students, so those are the people I started off with first, and we were all in the same boat. So those are the people I bonded with, and then eventually, as a group, we would hang out with the Irish, and they were very friendly and always welcoming. So overall, like I never felt like I wasn't accepted, thankfully. So it's a very good community, thank God.
Absolutely. Manami, you mentioned the other day that you've been helping people, international students, to transition, right? When they first arrive and to adapt themselves to Ireland. Can you share a little bit of some tips that you give them, or what usually they share with you, their main concerns, and how you help them? I think you're, yeah, go ahead. We can hear you now.
All right. So in my college, we have this thing called the PALS system. So they pick student helpers that volunteer to help out the new students who come over. So during the COVID period, the international office had their own PALS. So I was selected as one of them. So first things first, what they did was they had buses that collected students directly from the airport and dropped them off into near the college. So what we had to do is we had to go to the bus stop, greet them, and then just kind of exchange numbers so that they can contact us whenever they need some help. So as Sarah mentioned before, you have to do a 2-week quarantine at home. So the only way you can go outside is if you really need to do shopping, like groceries or for necessities. So they can't like roam around the town and stuff. So obviously, if you're new to a country, you have no idea which shops to go to. Like you don't even know where to find, say, pillows or something. So basically, us as pals, what we did was they would ask all these random questions. Where can I find pillows? Where can I find the cheapest items for whatever? And then we would direct them. So what we do is we'd send them links to the shops, Google Maps, whatever, and direct them directly to where they need to go, so that they don't get lost and don't have to wander around, and they can actually abide by the COVID rules. So that's what we did.
Yeah, absolutely. But the three of you are loving it, the time that you're spending there, right? So even though there was a little bit of anxiety for some of you, it was completely overcome, and now you're living the time of your life, right? Yeah, I bet. All right. So do you see, folks, here we have some people sharing messages about that. Diana saying that she felt anxious about the process of applying, but not actually anxious about the idea of living in another country. Yeah, the application process can be a little bit demanding, but it's super doable. And the good thing is that the university rep will help you along the way. So once you choose the university, they will help you during the whole process of applying. So actually that part is one very demanding, as I mentioned, but that you will get a good support from the university, and you're going to be able to do that. All right, Diana, thanks a lot. Okay, guys, moving on. As we were talking first about the idea of coming to study abroad, to Ireland in this case, the transitioning. Now, one thing that plays a very important role in the adaptation process at the very beginning is where you live, the choice of housing, accommodation, right? Let's start with you, Mega, because you first lived in the university campus. Is that correct? Why did you choose to live in the university campus, and how was that experience for you?
Okay, so when I first came here, I was prepared to live on the on-campus accommodation, because I think finding accommodation outside would be a struggle. So I just went through with the student accommodation. But I think it's a great experience living with more students from the college all across the world, different cultures, getting to know new people. I think it's very good. And also you can just wake up and show up to class. That's handy. But living with so many people, having new flatmates, and it's very nice. You develop your own community, and there are parties in somebody's apartment, and you go and you meet more people. I think that's very nice. And you don't have to worry about traveling or anything.
Yeah, it's the good thing is that you can wake up right 5 minutes before the class starts, and you can be there on time, right? I had an experience like that when I was in my high school. I used to live very close to the school. I did that. I know, I know all the tricks. Karen, you, in the other hand, you chose to live in a student housing, right? How did you? It can be quite tricky to find the people to share the house with you. How did you manage to do that, and what tips can you share to the folks out there?
So in my first year, what I did is I outreached other Canadian international students who were there, and I found older students that maybe had a house or were looking for housemates or flatmates to live with them, just because it was cheaper than living on campus. But I do recommend, there is a housing crisis in Galway, so it is more difficult to get houses, and most landlords like to meet their tenants before they let them live in their house, understandably. So I highly recommend, if you are moving to Ireland, to try to get there a week or two in advance and message people and organize viewings. That way it'll save you a lot of money, and there are communities and neighborhoods near the hospital that you can live in a normal house with other flatmates. And then as you go, I've been here for 5 years, so as I went along, I chose close friends that I'd be comfortable living with, and just formed and made my decisions based on that. So
cool. Guys, one of the many things that one of the main reasons actually people choose to go abroad is career focus, right? So the possibilities of going back home after years and getting a better job, or even getting that dream job, right? Manami, you're studying human resources, which is, I find it very interesting. How would you say, what tips can you give for people, how can they use this experience of studying abroad to boost their CV, their resumes, and their career in general? What tips do you give to them?
So firstly, I think because, the world is becoming all interconnected, everything is globalized. So having cultural sensitivity has become quite important. So have like understanding someone else's different culture, it's really important. So what you can do as an international student is to bring that to the table. You know, so if you can put this on your CV that you've been to different countries, you know, it'll help you, the employers understand that you understand different cultures. So in Ireland, it's becoming a bit difficult for international students to find jobs because of, well, because of COVID. And we have to work kind of like extra to try and fill up the parts in our CVs. So what I've been doing is I've been filling up my CV with virtual internships. So if you go to a website called the Farage, you can actually find virtual internships and you can get certificates for them. So like, you know, we need to figure out different ways to boost up our CVs, I think.
Absolutely. Karen, you're in the medical field, right? Can you share a little bit about, have you been having like experience working there, or just like anything you can share with us?
I actually haven't worked in Ireland, but usually after you graduate, you can apply for an intern spot, which is like a medical job here in Ireland. It is really competitive for international students to get because they only have enough spots for the Irish and then a little bit more for international students. However, like most international students just study in Ireland, and because I think Cleona mentioned earlier that like Ireland and Canada and other countries have affiliations, their degrees recognized, and therefore their main aim is to go back home and work at home. So that's my path, but I haven't actually worked in Ireland. But I know you can work, like Cleona mentioned before too, like 20 hours a week part-time, and then on like holidays it's more to 40 hours a week.
Yeah. Mega, you are speaking right now from your workplace, actually, folks. I don't know if you know that, but can you share a little bit about this experience of working while studying? How did you manage to do both things, and how did you find this job?
Yeah, I actually am in work right now, and it's Paddy's Day, and it's full with people. I work in retail, so I work in a supermarket, and it's like the local supermarket. So you can work 20 hours a week as a student doing your undergrad. And I think I saw a question, someone was asking if it's manageable. It is very manageable. I have done like my exam in the morning, then showed up to work in the evening, and went back to study again. So it is very nice. And working in retail, you get to meet a lot of people from various backgrounds. And it's very nice. I think people are fun. And I just love talking to people. So I think it's a fun job.
Cool. Manami, have you had an experience working as well during your studies, or no?
Yep. So I've worked twice. So the first time I worked during the summer as an English teacher. So I was teaching English to Spanish students that came over to Ireland for a summer boot camp. So that was a very formal job, and well, it was a contracted job. So I only worked for 2 weeks. And then last year, I had a part-time job in a takeaway. So that one was a bit problematic, and it only lasted 3 weeks. So when you're looking for a part-time job in Ireland, you really kind of need to be careful of the kind of jobs that you take in, especially now during COVID. I know you're desperate, but like just be careful, because what happened to me for the job in the takeaway is that they were very desperate to look for someone, and then I was desperate for a job too. So I just went in there, and I got the job without even getting an interview. And I've never had a background in the food and beverage industry, but they just took me in and then they trained me. And then they were a bit shady because when you're in Ireland and you're working as a student, you're only allowed to work 20 hours per week during the college year, and then 40 hours per week during the holiday times. So because it was during the college times, I could only work 20 hours per week, but the employer was giving me like 35 hours per week, and I couldn't do it, you know, like studying and working that much. And on top of that, it was illegal. So I asked for a reduction of hours, and they said no. So then I said, nope, I'm leaving. So you just really need to be careful. You need to do a background check, and if you find that something is wrong in the place that you're working at, then you need to run, go away. You don't want to, lose your student visa just because you want a job,
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Very important, guys. The good thing also about work is that it helps you like afford, all the costs that you. Can you share a little bit of the living costs in a more like practical way? Because we talked about that with Cleona and Sarah, but you guys are going through this. Can you share anything about like the amount of money you're actually spending or an average?
So I'll go first. I live in Dublin, and Dublin is very expensive, I would say. Not to scare you, but the rent is a little bit too much. So the rent would start from like 500, 400 a month to it can go on to as much as high as it can be. And the living costs would be your food and drinks. So and going out, that would be like, I can say like 50 for like a week or so. And then your other costs like traveling and stuff. So like 200 euros, something like that. But it depends whatever you do. But it's not very expensive for like your food and everything. It's just the living costs in Dublin. It's too much.
All right. What about for you, Karen? Because you're living in a different city, right? Not in Dublin.
Yeah, so Galway is definitely much cheaper than Dublin. However, because of the housing crisis, some landlords will make their houses super expensive because they know international students are just also desperate to find a place. So that's why I would recommend just coming a week or two early and actually viewing the house. Like, it's very important, like just like they want to view their tenants, you need to view the house, make sure it's in good condition. And also right now I'm paying about 400 a month, so that's actually really good. But in my earlier years, I was paying much more. And so I chose to move because I did the extra effort to like view houses again and move just because I thought it was more affordable and there was no need to pay like that much more. But definitely it takes more effort, like generally, but I think Galway is much cheaper. And then there's like unlimited data with your phone plan. So I really like that because in Canada, there's not many options of that. So unlimited data on my phone plan was kind of like a given and it helped a lot. And it was just like a known bill. So, and usually if you're living in the house, you split all the other bills. So I would say total like food, groceries, hanging out, nights out, I would like bills, I would say 100 a week and then plus your rent. That's how that's really how I budget my my year.
Yeah. And now, Manami, the most important question of the evening: how much does a Guinness cost?
Yeah, Guinness is my favorite pint to go for, so I know exactly how much it is. It's €5.30.
All right, guys. Now we're gonna get into the lightning round. Are you ready for the lightning round? It's gonna be four very quick questions. Okay, so I'm gonna follow the order here. So we'll start with Karen, then we go Mega, and then Manami. Okay, so just memorize this order. I'm gonna ask very quick questions. It's the same question to you all, so just quickly answer it. All right. So the first question is, describe Irish people in one word.
Friendly.
Great brag. It's not one word, but yeah.
I'd say talkative.
Talkative, cool. All right. Favorite landmark you visited?
Oh, Giant's Causeway.
I actually haven't been anywhere.
Come on, Mag.
I'd say somewhere in Galway because Galway is nice.
And Nami?
For me, it'll be the Aran Islands. There's this cliff. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I think it's
Moher.
Angus. Yeah.
Cool. Your idea of what fun is in Ireland?
Traveling around Ireland.
Night outs and clubs.
The Guinness.
And last but not least, favorite Irish beer?
Guinness.
Guinness.
Absolutely Guinness.
Guinness it is, guys. Okay, so now we're gonna go for our quiz of the night. So, folks, you that are watching us, we have a lot of people watching us right now. But don't forget to write your answers via the chat again, okay? And I'm gonna ask for for the Student World team at the backstage. So my colleagues Carla, Martin, to start counting how many points each of our guests here are going to make, okay? So please, folks, so we know which one is the winner. Let's see if it's going to be Canada, Japan, or India. All right, so same order, okay? I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and you're all going to have to answer, all right? So first question of the quiz is, which city name translate from Irish into English as Dark Pole? Karen.
Wicklow? I don't know.
You might as well like just take a guess, like pick a city in Ireland.
Wicklow or Cove?
What about you, Mega?
Is it Dublin?
Manami?
I have no idea. Wexford.
Wait, what was your answer, Mega?
Dublin?
Dublin it is. Dublin is the right answer, guys. Actually, yeah. Dublin, when you translate from, it means like dark pool in Irish Gaelic. So point to Mega. Second question. What does the circle at the very center of the Celtic cross represent? Karen.
Unity?
What about for you, Mega?
I think.
And Manami?
I'm just gonna say peace.
Peace. Well, all of you were wrong. No points at this point, guys. The answer is the sun. It represents the sun. All right. So third question. Now, come on. This is an easy one. What color has been originally associated with St. Patrick?
Green.
Karen, you go first.
Green?
Green. What about you, Mega?
Green.
Google it. Green. Manami?
I hope it's not a trick question, but yeah, green.
It is a trick question. It is not green. It's blue. The answer, everybody would say, and oh, so sorry, guys. I was kind of tricky now. I said this one is very easy. But the answer is blue, interestingly enough. It's not green. So far, only 1 point for Mega. Come on, guys. Come on. Question number 4. How do leprechauns earn their gold? Now I'm going to give you the options, okay? So again, how do leprechauns earn their gold? Option number 1, finding the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Option number 2, making shoes. Option number 3, picking pockets. Or option number 4, making potatoes. Karen.
I'm worried this is a trick question. I'm going to say picking pockets.
Picking pockets. What about you, Mega?
They also make shoes.
Making shoes. And for you, Manami?
I think it's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, because I think that's the basic stereotype of a leprechaun.
Guys, I cannot believe, but India is kicking your ass. Making shoes is the right answer.
Oh my God.
And now, question number 5. Which country? Oh, this is a hard one. Which country consumes the most Guinness beer? Karen. Number 1, Nigeria.
Oh,
Number 2, USA. Number 3, the UK. Or number 4, Ireland.
Can I answer that?
What?
Can I answer?
No, wait. Karen first.
The UK.
The UK, okay. Now, Manami?
I know that it's an African country, so it's Nigeria.
All right. And Mega?
It's the UK.
It is the UK, folks. The UK is the country that consumes the most amount of Guinness in the world. Okay, so Mega, 3 points. Now Karen, 1 point at least. You know, it's not going to be 0. But Manami, last question, last chance to make a point, to score. What city dyes its river green every year on St. Patrick's Day? I'm going to leave Karen for the last one this time because she seems to know the answer. Number 1, Amsterdam. Number 2, Budapest. Number 3, London. Or number 4, Chicago. Manami, you go first.
I know I've read an article about this, but the country just can't come into mind. Oh man, I'm just gonna go with Budapest.
Budapest. Mega?
Chicago. Americans go overboard with everything.
What about you, Karen?
Chicago.
Chicago it is, guys. The answer is Chicago. They dye the river greens every St. Patrick's Day. So we have a winner here, folks. We have Mega from India. You won, Mega.
Thank you.
Guys, we went over 12 minutes after the hour that we were originally planning to. Thank you so much for joining us here today, the 3 of you. Like having you guys here, sharing your experience living in Ireland, it makes a lot of difference to all of these people that are watching us here and that are, you know, dreaming and studying and doing what you're doing now. So any final words of encouragement? Yeah, let's start with you, Karen.
If you want a change of scenery and just exploring, like Ireland is definitely the place to go, and it's also really close to all the other countries in Europe. So I would definitely recommend, if you're on another side of the ocean, to hop over and experience Europe.
Cool. What about for you, Mega? What would be your final words of encouragement for everybody that wants to go to Ireland?
I just love Ireland. It's so nice. People are English speaking, and you can just have a band, you know, talk to people, full of banters. People are lovely. And I would say just be ready and get out of your comfort zone, because living in a different country is hard, but you surely can make it.
Cool. And for you, Manami?
Like Karen mentioned, since, you know, it's Ireland is part of the EU, it's a lot easier to travel to the European countries from Ireland itself. So if you're a travel freak or if you're a culture freak like me, then definitely Ireland is the place to come.
All right. Okay. Very good. Well said. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And for all of you that have stayed with us here today at the very second episode of the Student World Live Show, the only thing I can say is thank you. All right. The reason why we do what we do is you. We hope we can be your voice in asking the questions and getting the information you need to study abroad. So don't forget, again, guys, leave your like here. If you don't like what you've seen, put your dislike. That's fine. We want your honesty because we want to know if we are in the right path, right? The most valuable thing we have is our time. And I thank you so much for having given us 1 hour of your time today. We hope, and I truly hope, that you found this useful and that now you're a little bit closer to studying in Ireland as you were before this live. And again, stay tuned. Follow us Follow the Student World on Instagram at The Student World. We have every week new posts, news, posts about great new programs, scholarships, everything related to study abroad. This is the place, the one and only, talk show for study abroad at the Student World live show. All right, we'll be coming back soon, and keep following us on Instagram. That will keep you all aware of the next date of the next episode of the Student World live show. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great night, and I'll see you the next time. The Student World, whatever you want to study, we know how to get you there.